Okay, that is that. Let me see if it's on Facebook. Oh my God, we're on Facebook.
Yes, girl. Hello, darling.
Hello, welcome to Tags Live. This is our second week doing Tags Live, talk about gay sex. This is the third podcast in the Tags podcast lineage here. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, handsome co-host, sexy co-host, Kodi Maurice Doggett. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Hello, everybody in Get Vocal World.
Exactly. So this is our second week doing Tags Live. We're really excited. It's a really fun show. We've got like different categories in this hour. It really goes by fast. It's a lot of fun. It's our interactive show where you can actually talk to us on the Get Vocal application, getvocal.com/channel/tags live. And that's really where you can actually talk to us. And sometimes we have guests on here and we can read your comments in real time. But we do welcome you if you're watching us on Facebook, on our Facebook channel or our YouTube channel. Hey, we welcome anybody. We're not that picky.
True.
In all areas, actually. It's been a crazy week, Kodi. And before we get started, how was your week been so far?
I was in Philadelphia. It was interesting. I will say that. That's the theme for this week. It was interesting. I got to see some friends and family for the week, and it was cool. Well, I got to visit with people I hadn't seen in a really long time. So that's always a good thing. So
absolutely.
How was your week?
It's been pretty good so far. Happy hump day here. Cheers to that. Absolutely. Yes, exactly. Actually, I was thinking a little bit about it, and I was on the track today. Today's weather was really nice, so I took advantage of it. It wasn't humid here in New York City, and I actually went running. And I've been talking about it on Tags Podcast a little bit on the eye candy you see from the various people working out, whether they're trainers that have their shirts off or fellow people like myself just working out. And summertime in the city is super sexy, super fun for the on my end. Just looking at all the I know it's it's like
I'm getting flashbacks of seeing the guys run down the street, even in New Jersey, because it's Philadelphia area where I was visiting, and even there I was just like, turning my head in the car like, okay, hey, how are you doing? You're looking real nice running down the street.
Absolutely. There was one funny thing. I'm running today and I saw these, just goes to show you can't judge a book by its cover. And I see these two guys, one white guy, definitely older, running, and then this little guy, and he kind of had his arm around him, and the shorter one was, and I thought, yep, daddy and son going out on a jog. And I was just amused by the whole, because one was clearly so much taller than the other one. And as I got closer, I finished my run, and I would looking at them, I realized, oh my gosh, be careful on how you look at people. I think it really was an actual father and an actual young son.
Oh my gosh, that is not where I thought that story was
still the same daddy son. However, in our world, it has a whole different connotation and a whole different meaning. And I was like, ooh, okay, wrong one, but so still daddy and son. Just I wasn't about to. I had to check myself there a little bit. Exactly.
Yeah.
Too funny. Well, yes, we are live everywhere. I'm just double checking that we are live on at least our Facebook page, and it looks like you can play it there, which is very cool. We'll try and check back there if you're giving us any comments. This is an interactive show, so if you happen to be on the Get Vocal application, you can ask us questions. A little bit later on this show, we're actually going to be reading some questions or stories that some of you have actually relayed to us that we're going to answer or weigh in on, and there's some good ones this week, right, Kodi?
Oh yeah, I can't wait. That's gonna get real juicy then.
Absolutely. Well, our first hot topic on our first segment, we're going to dissect this hot gay sex topic, and it happens to do with Representative Brian K. Sims. He's a Philadelphia state rep who's openly gay. I think he's actually the first openly gay state legislator in the state of Philadelphia, which is really kind of cool. He
Yeah,
recently was called out for posting something on his social media.
Twitter.
I think it was,
Okay.
yeah. The story that we got was out of Queerty. Brian Sims bemoans gay dating culture. And they write, and we totally get it, man. They go on to say, do you think dating sucks? Well, try doing it when you're a super busy state lawmaker and arguably one of the highest profile LGBTQ elected officials in the country who is constantly fending off homophobic attacks by the Republicans while fighting for equality and looking cute while doing so. And I would admit he is very handsome. Wouldn't you agree, Kodi?
He's very handsome. I can't deny that. Yes.
Absolutely. Look him
I'm
up.
in agreement.
Brian Sims. Well, apparently what happened here is in a dejected Facebook post shared yesterday, Brian Sims, wrote, quote, dating, trying to find love during a global pandemic is pretty complicated most days. Yeah, I want to go to movies and restaurants again too, but talk to me about holding hands, weekend adventures, and meeting my dog. Um, I think, yeah, exactly, which is very sweet, I think. And I think we can all relate to it, the whole dating in this pandemic. And I don't know, let's start with you, Kodi, because you actually were dating somebody pre-pandemic. You talked about it a lot on our other live show, Sex with Stevie. And just as the pandemic was getting on lockdown, is you kept the relationship going on for a little bit. Can you just share a
Yeah.
little bit on how, because not a lot of people have that story.
Yeah. So we started dating pre quarantine, and everything was going well. We had been on, I think, 2 or 3 dates, and we really liked each. Well, I really liked him. I assumed that he really liked me. You never know nowadays. But we continued to chat, and we weren't taking things too seriously. As far as like, he wasn't my boyfriend. He wasn't. I wasn't necessarily blocking all any suitors that were trying to come my way. Yeah, exactly. I was still on apps. And
well, you and I would hang out, and we would go to some fun places here in New York when you were
yeah,
dating this guy. So it wasn't totally off limits. Yeah.
yeah. I wasn't a nun by any means.
Yeah, far from it. Nor a priest.
Okay, hold on. But yeah, so we continued to chat, and then things ran its course. It just fizzled out when all of the things with George Floyd started to come to a head. So that's when it kind of just fizzled out.
Absolutely. And I think what's really interesting is in your case, you went from pre-pandemic, seeing this guy freely whenever you wanted to see him, not being worried about the quarantine. And I would imagine in some ways the quarantine affected how your relationship went. I mean, it could have still ended up in the same storyline. In other words, that it maybe in each other, but you have to wonder that the quarantine had a lot to do with the fact that it didn't work for you guys, correct?
Yeah, I think that it reached its resolution faster. So I think that like, you're in a pressure cooker basically, and so all the things that don't work with your relationship are kind of put on Front Street. And I think that's what the quarantine did for our relationship. Like, I don't want to go too much into what actually happened between he and I, but like,
we heard a lot about it. Yeah, right. I
hear you. But basically, yeah, it just showed me a lot of things that maybe like we weren't that compatible. He's not a bad person. He's super fine. But yeah. So that's all.
I mean, I can relate to Representative Brian K. Sims a little bit in that I was single pre-pandemic. I was out having fun with you and
Mm-hmm.
just as a normal single guy living in a gay city like myself was doing, and perfectly happy. However, when the pandemic hit, I took those first months. I think I talked about it on the other shows. I had COVID, so I was really sick those first few weeks in March, and then didn't see anybody for,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the first person that I really hung out with outside of like my doormen here in the building was not until the end of May or early June, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And so I could feel for his longing to want to hold somebody's hand and have someone and have that kind of romantic thing going on. And a
Yeah.
pandemic doesn't help out matters. And it's interesting because I thought I was just going to go on that way. And I had a story to share a little bit recently of a guy that I actually did meet. And
Okay.
I met him this summer. It lasted about 6 weeks. He lived in my building of all places.
Ooh.
Isn't that good? On my floor of all places? It gets juicier
Wow.
by the second. Yeah.
Okay. So did you go over and borrow some sugar? Is that what happened?
Some lube. Yeah, exactly. No, it was interesting because I had seen this guy before and always thought he was attractive. And it seemed like in the past, the few times I had seen him in the elevator, because we would get off at the same floor, that he was flirty. But I always,
Mhm.
and in fact, I told him I just assumed he had a boyfriend. And I think what was interesting in my situation, and ultimately we've decided to move on, and it's didn't work out, and no made hard feelings or anything like that at all. And which is
Mhm.
the good thing, because I see him in this building. So on this
Yeah.
floor, not all the time, but like on our rooftop. But he really came at the right time, because that companionship that Brian is talking about, just more so than just a friend. We, in the 6 weeks or however long that we hung out, I got that romantic thing that I wanted. We cooked. We lied out in various parks here in New York City. We had a couple sleepovers where we had sleepovers where
Nice.
romantic. We definitely had the sex, which was good too. And
Hey.
yeah, and I also felt like for this period, I had kind of a companion that was really, really needed at this time. That was an intimate companion,
Yeah.
somebody that, you're texting with, hey, how's your day going? And in this case, it was really kind of cool. We weren't going over to each other's place borrowing sugar, but we would text each other. One of us might text each other, hey, I'm going to do this. Can I stop over real quick and give you a kiss? Or that
Oh,
kind of, yeah. And so I have
that's
to
super
say,
cute.
be careful what you wish for, Brian K. Sims, because sometimes things do come for a reason, a season, and a time for pleasing. Jan Levanson.
Hey.
And yeah, this person really, which it was really convenient too, because I didn't have to get on the train to go far off to see this person. And yeah, it was really like perfect for the time. Again, it ultimately didn't work out, and we're not enemies by any means. It just we're looking for different things. But and thank God, because feelings weren't so invested. It was that 5-6 week period where you like the person enough and you really are enjoying the time. I hadn't had a chance to really think beyond that.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and plus, like with the quarantine, you didn't feel like your emotions were intensified, kind of, sort of. Was it? That's not because I personally, I started to like, I don't know, maybe it was because I wasn't seeing that many people. I started to like really form a bond with the person.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think I really kept it. I definitely was in need of not only physical contact, emotional contact, intimate contact
Yeah.
that this person definitely provided. But I also treated it like a new thing. I think he had even said early on, "Ooh, this might not be a good idea living in the same building." And I said, you know, you that's one way of looking at it. I'm sort of a half glass full type of a person, a very positive
Mhm.
person. And in my mind, I thought we're both adults. We're not in love with each other. We're simply enjoying each other's time.
Mhm.
And for me, I looked at it like I would be dating anybody else new that I really
Yeah.
liked. And I kept it in perspective. I think the only thing that, and the thing about the close proximity, I actually thought it was a really convenient, good thing because I didn't have to get on a train. I didn't have to get in an Uber or a taxi cab. It was really convenient. And like I said, it's worked out that, there is fortunately no hard feelings or anything weird like that. And so I think it could get dicey if perhaps maybe if we had kept it going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say maybe that's kind of where I went. Well, not wrong, but like maybe I'm doing the things that I would normally do in a relationship anyway. Like I'm the type of person that jumps the gun when it comes to relationships, and like
Yeah.
I'm planning the wedding before you even really get to know the person.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
what
hear
color is my dress gonna be? That's how I'm prepared.
I totally know what you mean. Yeah, I've definitely been there for sure. And yeah, it can be a whole thing. Let us know. This is an interactive show, and if you write comments in the Get Vocal, we'll try to go to the Facebook page too and see, have you had a relationship? How's your relationship been? Have you been yearning for one like Brian Sims had? He got a little bit of flack though for being, oh, woe is me. Did you read the comment section?
So the comment is where it goes down.
People, just to get people a little bit of understanding of what we're talking about, is people were a little bit, you know how people are in the comment section. They were writing,
Ooh, I
oh,
love
woe
it.
is me. Oh, another good looking white man that is also, a politician, and we should feel sorry for him, and he could
Yeah.
easily find somebody. But it really, I don't think that's fair, actually. What did you think
And
about some of the comments?
I don't think that's where he was coming from. Like,
Yeah.
okay, my initial reading it initially, I was like, this man should have zero problems when it comes to finding a date. And I was like, dude, really check yourself. And
But somebody
then
would
I
say that.
started
I want to stop you there, Cody, because a lot of people would tell you the same things.
they
So
and that's what I realized when I was reading the article. And I was like, a lot of the things that he's mentioning, I probably go through myself. And that's when I started to feel empathy for him. And because dating is not easy. It's when you try to connect with somebody is not easy. And when you emotionally invest yourself with somebody, it's not an easy thing to find somebody that you really connect with on that type of level. And I think that's what he was trying to get at in the article. So I definitely empathize with him.
And what I would add to that, when you are a political figure, a somewhat famous person like he is, I think when you put up something like that on social media, I think he took it down. I'm not sure what that word means when they didn't say retracted, but a sense,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't say deleted either. I'm not sure if he kept it up or not, but regardless, I think when you are a political figure of any way, shape, or form in our community or others, when you put up comments like that about your vulnerabilities, and we're going to talk about vulnerability in just a second in
Hey,
our
nice
next
segue.
segment. Nice segue, yeah. That I think that you know, people are going to come for you because you're essentially saying, oh, I don't have this, and people are going to, I'm sure he also got a lot of people on his actual post that I would date you, Brian, but you have to know that your public commentary as a public figure is going to be grabbed like a queer tea or other social media types, and they're going to kind of come for you a little bit. Now, I was sharing my story, but it's based on our live podcast here, and it's related to his story. I didn't go on my social media and say, oh, darn it, this relationship thing or this thing that I tried, dating thing didn't work, and then expect nobody to come out for me because I think they would.
Yeah. I agree with you. I do the same thing. I mean, on here, I'll come out and I'll say, oh, I wish I had a date right now. I wish I had somebody to hug at night. Da 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 da. But like, I'm not going on social media and saying and putting that out there on the street. It's just mostly pictures of me with my shirt off. So
There's the pictures of that, and I love it.
sure.
Well,
Sure.
we've got to move on to our series. It's part 2 of our series called Vulnerable Voices. And Amelia, oh, just to read a comment on our tags. Hi, Amelia. Thanks for tuning in. Um, Great to see you there. On our first part of Vulnerable Voices, we wanted to talk a little bit about the vulnerability that a lot of us gay men or LGBTQ people feel when you first meet somebody on that first date or a first hookup, sexual hookup. And there's a lot of them. We broke it down and you can watch last week's totally. This week, we wanted to take it a next step further, and we wanted to talk a little bit more about vulnerability when you're kind of already in the relationship or somebody you are dating. And let's just start first off, let's go right there with body image, because that's
Yeah.
such a biggie that so many of us feel, whether you're in a relationship, looking for one, it just comes up for particularly a lot for us gay men. Why do you think that is, Kodi?
Unrealistic body image ideals that are placed on us as a society as a whole. Like women get it, I think, the most, but then like as gay men, we get it a lot too. It's just out there in the media, and like that's what the ideal and the pinnacle of masculinity is to have all these muscles and to have a six pack, which in quarantine I don't have a six pack. I'm sorry.
Well, that brings up an interesting topic because what's it called? The COVID-15, where
Yeah,
people, yeah, and I think everyone's,
I got it.
I definitely gained some weight. I've been back at it this summer, but there was a period there where I was like, oh, child, if you continue this. And I think it's just, but what I did do is I gave myself a break and didn't beat myself up because I just think what we've all gone through and varying degrees has been traumatic and still is for
Yeah,
a lot of people. And so with that, yeah, we're going to eat a little bit more and it's comforting for a lot of us. So instead of beating ourselves up, maybe be a little kinder to yourself.
yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. Even though there's still a part of me in the back of my mind that's saying, okay, you got to do something to lose that weight. But I think it's because I've been inundated with like uh, those body ideals for the larger part of my youth and growing up, and even now, I've even in comic books, like I read comic books a lot. That's the body idea is like the masculine, strong, muscly man, and yeah. But I love all body types. I think all body types are beautiful. So why can't I have that sort of give myself that leeway too to love my
Yeah.
body?
Yeah, I think, and it's a weird, interesting line that we all go through with body image because you can feel good one day, but you can walk by a mirror a next moment and be like, oh, ooh, I just think we're so plagued by body image. And then in talking to, just to bring up the guy that I was dating,
Mm-hmm.
he was working on his body and I of course was working on my body, but we talked a lot about our bodies on the
Yeah.
various aspects that we were wanting to work on. I think the good vulnerable thing about that dating situation that I had is that we were both open about areas that we wanted to work on ourselves with. And but I remember he mentioned one thing that was kind of funny. He said to me, you could have like a big dick and and that actually is the only thing that would really matter for a guy you're trying to pick up in a sexual situation, yet you're worried, and they might not even worry about that extra
Yeah.
roll around your stomach, yet it could bother you, and you can be working so hard to get that off. And then in the irony I think he was trying to allude to was all they really cared about was the big dick. And
Yeah.
I agree with that, but the thing is, you have to feel good about yourself at the end of the day. And the other thing is, then maybe, yeah, maybe someone is interested in that big dick, but for sex, not necessarily for dating. And yeah, I've been with people that to get off with that. Yeah, I mean, I could get off with them, but I don't know that I really liked them or
Yeah.
was really even attracted to them when I thought about it. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Like, I get that whole, it's with sex, it's like a mind body type thing that goes on. It's a connection that you have to have between your mind and your body. Like, in order to be aroused, you have to not only be pleased, for me specifically, not only be pleased with what my partner looks like. I don't know. It kind of gives me a little rise, literally,
I love it.
to think that people are actually enticed and attracted to my body as well. So I totally get that.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I just come back to is it's good to have goals. And like you've mentioned, you've always been a fan of comic books. I mean, I think those are healthy goals. I was a gymnast, so there's always as from a little kid, and the body always came naturally at an early age. I have to work a lot harder at it now, but it did get me to have goals. And
Mm-hmm.
I had a trainer for a while that I still keep in contact with, and he's gives a lot of motivation. Certainly running around the track here, seeing other like, but I'm also looking at bodies from a motivational standpoint. I think it's a good
Yeah,
thing. Working out does bring a lot of induce a lot of good endorphins in our minds, which we could
yeah,
all use. So it just, again, it comes back to balance and having a healthy dose of that, and also being kind to yourself when if you've done,
exactly. That was
yeah,
going to be my point.
yeah, just being kind to yourself. And it's like yoga. I was trying to do all these poses, and my yoga guy that I have this annual thing that I watch online, he's said, one day yoga's all about one day you can do this, the next day you can't. It's okay. Be kind to yourself. And you've just got to
Uh,
be in the moment, and it's not about it's not a competition. So, but if
yeah,
you can't do something one day, well, there's always the next, and so you can keep working on it. So,
exactly. Reach
yeah,
higher and higher every day.
exactly. Well, speaking of, and with sex too, I think even when you're
Mm-hmm.
dating somebody, did you have any sort of vulnerabilities with the guy that you were dating that came
So
up
we didn't even have sex
ever?
ever, which is really like strange to me that we were talking for so long and we didn't have sex. But you know what? I was on my way back from New Jersey, and something on the way back kind of clicked with me. It's funny that you say vulnerabilities in sex, because there was one time I hooked up with a guy, right? And I was going to top. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm gonna do this thing. And we were in it, and we were getting to that point, and we pulled down the pants, and his dick was bigger than mine.
Oh wow!
I know, and
But
it just
but that's just called a big dick bottom.
I
Cody,
know,
get the
but
term.
I was young, and I felt it just made me feel insecure.
But he
So
wanted you. He didn't care. He didn't
he did
care.
not care. Yeah, he
Listen,
did
for
not
all big
care.
dick bottoms, they don't care. They when they want to get top, and there's a lot of guys that like a big dick bottom. They think it's really hot, or they
Yeah.
don't care. There's a lot of guys that don't like it too. But yeah, I mean, was that recently, or that was a long time ago?
No, it was a while ago. Yeah. I don't know how. I was probably like 32, something like that. So I was younger than I am now.
Oh, a year ago,
So
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank you, Steve. Last
course,
year.
we've got to have it out last year. Well, okay, but here's a question for you. If you, same situation, met some
Uh-huh.
guy online that
Uh-huh.
was so hot and you were going to head over there to go and you decided ahead of time, ooh, yep, I'm going to top you and this and that. And you got there, same situation.
Yeah.
If you pulled his pants down and he had a huge donkey dick as a bottom, would you today fuck him or would you not?
Okay, I might have a little bit to get over, but yes, what does the ass look like? Is what it basically does, what it comes down
If everything else was in check,
to.
would
Yeah,
be okay.
if it had a nice plump butt, then I'm good to go. Let's go.
I love it. I love it.
have you
Okay.
have you ever had anything with vulnerability in sex, anything like that?
Well, I've talked a little bit about it before in as being primarily a bottom,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and because you're not always ready
Mm.
as a bottom at every, and even in this guy that I was dating, I think the one thing about the convenience factor that he was just down the hall, it always
Mm.
seemed like, hey, do you want to come over after, like, we do our live Thursday show? Do you want to come over after that? And I have to unwind after I do our show, and I need a glass of wine. And okay, I'm drinking all through the show, but regardless, I'm maybe not prepared in that area necessarily, if you know what I mean,
Right.
to
Oh, I know.
on a whim. And so my vulnerabilities come with that, and I think that's what got me a little bit I had a little bit of anxiety at times because of the idea. I think sometimes tops think that, yeah, I mean, and there's always help out there for a top. You can take, like, our former um sponsor, Blue Chew, and you're
Oh
hard,
yeah.
you're ready to go, and you a quick shower and you're good to go. But as a bottom, you're eating the right diet and you're trying to be clean, like Dr. Goldstein, who's been on our show, clean out properly. And it causes me a little bit of anxiety, and as you
Mm-hmm.
asked the question, vulnerability at times, because you're just not always ready on a whim like that. And so, yeah, I would agree. Teddy Alexis Rodriguez. Kodi is so cute. Oh,
Thank you, Chetty.
can you type it there for Teddy and say thank you? And do you see the comment section while I put
I
my
see it now.
I know, Teddy. So we only hear him on Thursdays, and a lot of people don't realize how cute Kodi really is. So yeah, absolutely.
So
Okay.
me
Well,
and the representative have a little bit in common now.
well, join in our conversation. We're moving on to our. So we did vulnerable voices,
Mm-hmm.
correct? And we are moving on to say what. This is the segment where you get to ask us questions. So if, Teddy, you have a question you want to ask us, but we have some questions that people have written in for us that we're going to start with, but feel free to ask us or have us give you sex advice. I'm just pulling up our questions here with people. So, okay, so there was a recent guy on Instagram that DM'd me, and I won't read his name because I don't want to totally out him, but he
Thank you.
said, yes, that he said that he's a fan of the show, and he's writing because I've been thinking of supplementing my full-time job with an OnlyFans account, but there's definitely no limit to dudes doing stuff online, and I'd rather not go through the risks for little benefit. Do you know anyone willing to provide a consult, or even someone with a production company, etc.? He says it's somewhat of a weird ask, but you guys are always chatting about OnlyFans, and nothing is lost from asking. Well, thank you. I think you know who you are, for asking that question, and not a weird question at all. I think, if anything, in this pandemic time period, we've had to get creative. But if you are out of work, the unemployment level is crazy. And I've talked to so many people that in various fields, from porn stars that have gravitated over to OnlyFans accounts. I've belong to a few different OnlyFans. I have some subscriptions,
Oh,
and
really?
I have a couple I'll share with you later.
Okay.
I have a friend that we've had on our show, Greg McKeon. I don't have my own OnlyFans.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
You
okay,
have
got it. Yeah. I
subscriptions.
was
Yeah.
thinking, wait, I hope he knows what I'm talking we've had Greg McKeon on our show, who is to me one of the masters of how to do it right when it comes to OnlyFans. And one of the things he does that he's talked about, he's so funny. I think it's Greg McKeon. Look him up. I will post his on our tagspodcast.com. He says, I'm not the best looking guy. I would argue with that. He is very sexy and
He's
hot.
so cute.
Yeah, but he was saying, he's like, there's a lot of other good-looking guys that have OnlyFans that don't do as well. He's a master publicity machine. In other words, he puts out content all the time, and I think that is the key. He's not afraid to put out a lot of content. He does one thing, and here's a tip for you, to our listener, is he actually offers on OnlyFans a paid subscription and then sort of like a premium subscription, but he has a free version of it. So Kodi, you got to get on there. Totally 100% free. You get to get, and a lot of the free content on there is him doing it and getting it done to him. It's really, really hot stuff. It's
for
like
free.
For free. So he almost built the model from Twitter, where a lot of people give a lot of interesting content and teases you with it. Then there's the OnlyFans, which you have to sign up for, but it's free. And he gives you the next level up of really hot, sexy content. Then you can go to a paid and then his premium. So I think it's really brilliant. But real quick, and then I want to hear from you, is that his main thing is that you've got to find, he has a boyfriend that he produces a lot of content with, and often who is really adorable, who also has his own OnlyFans page. His boyfriend, he told the story, doesn't always want to isn't in the mood to produce new content, and he's always like, now what? Gray is like, you know what? Let's do it. You have to keep it going to keep your fans and what your and be really intuitive and listen to what your fans may want from you, because this isn't straight ahead porn. It's content created for your fans, so your fans will offer you information and insight to what they want to see. What were you going to say, Kodi?
I was going to say, it's really smart of him to not to have like a free level, because like those you can send people tips as well. So maybe he gets some of him giving away the free subscriptions, he gets back in tips too. So
good point.
I think it's really smart.
Exactly. And I think it's a really great supplemental way. I think you have to, the other thing I would say, and I'm really drawing from all the different people we've had, Dante Cole on our show, who has an OnlyFans page. We have so many people on our show, and that's why I feel like I could speak to it, is that you have to really be comfortable in front of the camera. And so, I've thought back in the day when I was to me, go-go dancing and stripping was one thing, but actually performing sex, I couldn't do. There's just, I don't know. Could you do it, Kodi?
I told a story on the Thursday night show where I guess somebody I was going to hook up with FaceTimed his boyfriend, and I just could not get it up. So I don't think I can do it. You have to be
it's a certain
comfortable comfortable in front of the camera doing that type of thing.
And the other thing I would say, Kodi, is that you and I were talking on the phone last night, and we both agreed that what makes OnlyFans interesting for so many of us is sort of the amateur quality. So in other words, we can all watch a studio-driven porn scene that is high gloss and well produced with perfectly lit actors, and that's all fine and dandy. I think what makes a really good OnlyFans is its amateur quality. And I
agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. It's a relatability and a realistic type sex that that's portrayed in the OnlyFans that is relatable, and I feel like I could be having that kind of sex. I feel like I could be involved in that kind of sex. If I was to walk into the room, I'm like, oh, okay, they want me to join. I'm gonna go ahead and just hop right in on there. So yeah, I think OnlyFans, that's the allure for me as far as OnlyFans is concerned. And yeah, if trust me, if I wasn't, because I'm pee shy even as it is. Like if I could, if I could get on camera and do it, then yeah, I'd probably be doing it right now.
Do you think that, I think it's important in finalizing this question before we move on to another question, is I think you maybe have to have somewhat of a niche too, or find what, and whatever that is well, maybe it's just being the adorable, cute self that you think you are. It probably will translate, but you have to, whatever that is, you have to be able to find enough content to continuously come out with new content.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of, there's a lot of different fetishes out there. There's a one that I follow that he's like a foot dom and really sexy, but it's already.
I have a story about that later.
Okay, well, yeah. So I think you have to, if you have something like that people are going to like, then it's variations of that. And so I don't know. I think this person should really try.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just find your niche and who you want, and just be realistic about the initial stages of it. Like, you're not going to start off with 100,000 or 1,000,000 followers in the first day or first week. So yeah, go for it. You never know what can happen. There's something out there for everybody.
Well, we had another person write into us who, I'll just read the story. It was something that I hadn't heard of, and I don't think you have either, but we've since looked it up. I'll read it for you. So the person wrote into us. So I hooked up with a guy years ago here in DC. This person lives in DC, and we're both tops. Okay. But we were fine with trading oral. So after making out and sucking on each other, he made me come from a blowjob, and I asked him how he would like me to make him come. Oh, that's nice of you. Really reciprocal. He asked me to stand on. Okay, so here's the clincher. He asked me to stand on his stomach. He writes, I'm open-minded, so I did. He started jerking off and came in about a minute. We chatted. Wow. We chatted while naked after, and then he asked if I could stand on him one more time before I go. I said sure, and this time he came in about 10 seconds. He writes, I've never heard anyone but this guy have this fetish, but I've learned it's called smothering, I think. Thanks for reading. And he writes, tags, podcast is awesome. Oh, well, thank you.
Yay.
It's interesting at looking, a lot of things came up. I know you and I were both, one hadn't heard of smothering, but I also looked up another thing that it could be called trampling, which is another thing. And it also, when I woke up this morning, got me thinking, there was a news story on New York One about chokehold law, and it got me thinking about that. And about a petition that the mayor last month, he's banning the use of chokeholds by police officers, so it's kind of relevant because of what it does to the compressing the diaphragm, kneeling on somebody, obviously standing on someone's chest or back, now that's chest or back, that can really compress someone's diaphragm. This is somebody's stomach. I don't know, what were your first thoughts when you first read about this or heard about this?
So when you just read it right now, I must have missed the part yesterday about he made the guy come in less than a minute. I was like, I was taking it back. I was like, I don't know if I've never made anyone come in under a minute. Like, okay.
I
go. Good for you. Oh.
Just say, anyway, another time, another story.
another podcast.
Yeah, another podcast.
All right, but so yeah, I read about it, and when I read about it on Kinkly, because you sent me the link, and I was already reading Kinkly, and I started reading it. I was like, oh my gosh, I might be a smotherer.
Really?
Because I like to. But then I realized upon reading it more and more that I'm not really a smotherer. I like to kind of put my hands around their neck a little bit, like not really choking them, but kind of like that that motion. So like an edging type thing, like a little bit of light choking. Yeah. Uh, but then I went and looked up what choking was, and I think that kink shamed me because they were like, "You shouldn't do this by yourself. It's not a safe practice to do." So you brought up something that is topical, like because, like you said, it's not something they're going to outlaw it with the police, and
Yeah.
like you shouldn't be doing that by yourself, at least, because you should do it with somebody that knows CPR as well.
Well, exactly. And the other thing I would say is when it's cutting off circulation on any way, shape, or form, that is apparently, in looking up what I looked up, is part of the attraction and what makes somebody come is that quick moment when you cut off the circulation that is that euphoria. I mean, we've all heard stories, I forget what it's called, but when people kind of asphyxiate themselves.
Yeah, self asphyxiation. They said it's very dangerous. You should.
Yeah, and people
that's
have
not
died.
a safe practice. Yeah, exactly.
But then I've I had a friend that he's I guess a sadomasochist, S&M Dom, and he once brought me to a place here in New York and had me watch, and it was this room, it was several rooms that he could bring his client to, and they were all a dungeon and all kinds of different rooms. Well, one of them was a doctor's office, and he
really?
Yeah, like it looked like you were in an actual lab, a doctor's office lab. And it was really fun because we all have fantasies about that, or a lot of us do. But one of the things they had in this doctor's office that they were going to have me try for a second, he and his friend, where you slide into this rubber latex zippered pouch, almost like a body bag. And the idea, and then there's like a little opening for a straw. And this is a whole big thing in the fetish world. And it's a real thing. And a lot of people, they started to zipper me up, and then this contraption actually has like a pipe that sucks out all of the air inside, so all of the latex
to your body.
Yeah, and they leave a little opening like with a straw so you can breathe. But I decided, okay, no, I don't literally, because I have already issues with like
tight spaces.
Yeah, and so that would not be one that would work for me. So that it brought up that, but then there's a lot of people in reading a lot of the stories that having weight on you is like, there's even a commercial right now for a blanket that is weighted, and the idea being that people like feel comforted when there's something weighted on top of you.
Yeah,
and
my mom has a weighted blanket.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can feel, I understand that comfort level, so maybe there was a little bit of that. In reading a few more stories, somebody wanted to ask, well, did the person stand on the guy's stomach like barefooted? Because a lot of people like the bare feet if they're into feet, and that feeling, or a combination of the weight and the feet. Or there's even a fetish of people that want to feel like a little bit of the dom sub role of what it would be like to be the rug, like just a rug, kind of that feeling of like, I want to be the rug on that person who's standing on top of me. There's a lot of levels of these fetishes that I'm not sure, based on what we read. Maybe he needs to go back and really ask and do another sitting with this guy, or standing, so we can really find out what level is this guy at. I'm fascinated with it, aren't you?
Yeah, it's intriguing, definitely. And it's funny that you bring up like the foot fetish thing, because on my way to Philadelphia, I got asked to be a foot master, and I was like, does it include a pedicure? Because I'll do it.
Oh, I love it. Meaning you would be the dom, but you needed to have your pedicure done.
No. I would be the dom, and he would be the sub. So
I'm down. It. Hey, okay. I love it.
Does it include a pedicure? I think my kink is getting things out of other people's kinks. I think that's what my kink is.
Nice. That's totally. I love it. I love it. Wow. Should we do one more question or move on to our?
Sure.
Okay, let's do one more, and then we'll play a quick game for you. What was the other question that we had? Well, somebody wrote into us. We talked a little bit about on our other show, Tags podcast, that um, somebody recently said they had masked sex. So they wore their masks, they hooked up with somebody, which is really, I think, a good thing and safe. But they said as a bottom, it's a bit easier to wear your mask, but it was hot as hell. And not in a good way because of wearing the mask. And I think because they were both, it's hot wearing your mask. I was trying to run today with my mask on, huffing and puffing. And I know there's a few masks out there that are sort of breathable. I don't know if they're safe or not, but would you just make a relative risk with somebody and have sex, Kodi? Or would you have sex if somebody said, well, let's do it, but we have to wear our masks?
I think that I'm not really like a go into a hookup type guy anyway. So I think that I would have an initial hangout with masks and everything like that, and then see where it led to, and then get to know the person first. But if okay, that's not the question that you asked.
Stick to the program.
All right. So I think that I would, if I was going to hook up with somebody, yes, I would keep on my mask. Yes. But we talked about this before on the Thursday night show, and I said maybe if I get one of those like full face covering masks, and that's going to be super hot too.
Yeah.
So you have to have your air conditioner pumped up to 60, so 60 degrees. So that's the only way I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've noticed Wicked Gay Parties, who we've had, the guy who produces the parties on our show before, early on when we started Sex with Stevie, he's been doing all these virtual parties, and essentially wickedgayparties.com was and will continue to be a pod or a listing of various sex events happening around the country. And he's recently opening it up to cities that have a low percentile of COVID, and then putting the risk factor on there of medium risk, low risk, high risk, parties that only require masks, parties that may or may not require masks. And I think we're all starved for connection and sex, and
yeah, totally.
I think it's commendable in putting it out there that, listen, and he's creating this medium, low, high risk type of thing. It's not scientific or anything, but then we're not getting a lot of guidance from our government anyways. So, I'm not mad at it. And I do like only listings will occur in cities that have a low risk, and he'll continuously moderate that. If then a city, we'll see as we go into the fall and when we're all staying in a lot more, if numbers, but I commend him. And so, we'll see. Teddy, I love your podcast. Stevie, where do you find your balance when bottoming? Can you read the question, Kodi? Because I don't have my glasses on.
To find the time to prepare and letting the top know what is going on or not, etc.
When do I find the time? When I'm not doing it? I know, right?
No, when do you, where do you find the time to prepare and let the top know what's going on or not?
I would just use the example of the guy that I was seeing that lived in my building. And the best times were when we planned like an all-day Saturday. And I can remember one example where we said we were going to spend the whole day. He picked me up, down the hall, and we went to like the Chelsea Piers to lie out, and we had a great day. We had lunch together. We lied out. We people watched. We had great conversation. We made out while we were out there, and then we came back to our respective apartments, and we were going to get together for like hang out, sex, and also to like watch a movie. Well, I went to my apartment, took a shower, cleaned myself out properly, and allowed a little bit of a break, and then went over and was perfectly ready. We had great sex, including great morning sex, and it all worked out. So I would say that I'm sounds like I'm kind of spontaneous, or maybe it doesn't. I'm really not. I actually am a planner, and probably makes sense because I do all these shows, that I'm not as spontaneous as I'd like to think I am. I need to kind of plan out certain things, and when I do, then I'm good to go. If everything's planned out, then I have a lot of fun. So that's a long-winded answer, but there you go. We've got just a couple minutes. Let's play 2 rounds of what's the word games, or what's word association? What's it called?
Yeah, like categories type deal. Yeah,
exactly. So we'll each come up with a category, and we have to each go back and forth, correct, on different words that come up with it.
Or no, something that fits in that category. So if you say hand sanitizer, then you say something that's in the hand sanitizer category.
Yeah.
Huh?
Soap.
What'd you say?
Soap.
Okay, works for me.
Okay. All right. So you want to go first?
Are we starting now?
Yeah, we've only got it.
Okay.
We'll
okay. All right. Let's go. All right. So I will start with lube. So you go now.
And I got to say words that fall into the lube category, correct?
Yes, like a type of lube that falls into the lube.
Okay, Peugeot, and I said that Peugeot because they were trying to get them as a sponsor. So fingers crossed with that.
Oh, fabulous!
And
they're the first one we should say, definitely.
Yeah. Sure.
Uber lube.
Swiss Navy.
Boy butter.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say that one. Oh my gosh. Oh, shoot. ID.
Wet platinum.
You said wet. J-Lube.
Yeah, I lost. Damn. I can't think of any more.
I think I had one more because it was
what was it?
Fort Trough.
Oh, okay.
All right,
we have think of more lube for sure.
Okay, that's my turn.
Okay, go.
Underwear jocks.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, so nasty pig.
Oh, 10.5 because it's Rocco Steele's jock strap, and he's 10.5.
Oh, really?
And I bought one 10.5.
Nice. CN2.
Oh yes, I have seen 2. What's it called? Cock socks. It's
breed well.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Andrew Christian.
Oh, you stole mine. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of all the jock straps I have in there. Did I lose again? Oh my god. I can't think of anything. Okay. All right. I can do this.
Okay, you lost again. Pump. You know that brand Pump?
Pump. I have so many pumps. I don't know why I couldn't think of anything.
Okay. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you for joining us. The show gets repackaged the following Monday. So next Monday, it will be on our podcast feed, and you can watch it on YouTube as well. We didn't get to talk about Drag Race, but we'll do it tomorrow. The new Las Vegas show.
All right.
Watch Kodi and I.
Can't wait.
Tomorrow night, we are live Sex with Stevie. Tomorrow night, 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern time. It's on our Facebook page, facebook.com/tags podcast. Thank you so much, Kodi. This is so fun.
Thank you, Steve. Love you, boo.
Love you. All right. Bye, you guys.
Have a good night, everybody.